Hello everyone. Thank you for coming today. Good morning. When we were given the opportunity to compose this symposium, we as students came together and we decided the best way to go about things would be as students to save the best till last. So, I'm here to talk to you about localised agriculture. So the Faculty of Public Health claims that 30% of premature death and disability are related to poor diet. While we now live in an age of convenience, with food being available at supermarkets 24 hours a day, is this food really beneficial to our health? Possibly not. Healthy food is often expensive and often retailed at high end, whilst the unhealthiest food is often the cheapest. The Faculty of Public Health claims that the lower your income, the worse your diet, statistically. The relationship between poverty and malnutrition is quantified by observing how low-income families are disproportionately afflicted with diseases such as cancer, diabetes and heart disease. The Office of National Statistics claim that 90 million people in the UK are in poverty, and 3 million of those are children. We have food banks in the UK. The Trussell Trust, which is a food bank provider, estimates that 500,000 people are dependent on food banks annually, but this is likely to be higher, as the Trussell Trust isn't the only food bank provider in the UK. We have situations whereby local shops are closing, with supermarkets opening up, and in housing estates sometimes transport links to supermarkets or places to buy food can be inconsistent or even non-existent. And this image is quite amusing. When I was looking at examples of UK poverty, I saw this and the caption was "man stabbed" or something violent, and I thought that place looks really familiar, and I clicked on the article and it was not only is this the estate I grew up on, this is the same street. And this is where I lived. So that was quite amusing. But that's the Birchwood Estate in Lincolnshire, everyone, if you're interested.
Just where in Lincolnshire, sorry?
Sorry?
Where did you say what?
Birchwood. The largest county estate in Europe.
Yeah, but you want that, will it? As well, surely.
Oh, really? So the Faculty of Public Health points out key areas in order to improve food security in the UK. These include better education, food mapping, and the food should be made accessible, affordable, and sourced locally whenever possible. So, is locally grown produce more nutritious? And the short answer is no. Harvard University claims that the nutritional content of a crop depends on sort of 4 key areas, which is the variety, the production method, the post-harvest handling, and the ripeness. Varieties chosen by commercial growers and sold in supermarkets are typically chosen for their ability to survive the journey and to have a long shelf life and for good yield, not for nutrition or for flavour. Dr. Donald Davis, a biochemist in the University of Texas, compared some modern and old garden crop varieties and found a sort of a consistent reduction in nutrients when you compare to the newer varieties to their older counterparts. He went on to state that when you select varieties for yield, crops go bigger and faster, but don't necessarily have the ability to make up or take up nutrients at a faster rate. And this kind of research is backed by studies in a journal for Science and Food. So, here we have some supermarket sort of staple crops. The blue crop, blueberry, which is sort of the blueberry that we all are familiar with. Alsanta strawberries, which are the strawberries that you'll see in the supermarket in their little sort of plastic packaging. And it was difficult for me to find an example of the supermarket tomato, but I did find a sort of commercial seed provider that sells seeds to commercial growers, and this picture looked the most like, in my opinion, what sort of supermarket tomato looks like, but it's a bit of a guesswork. But blueberries are sort of famed for being superfoods or high in antioxidants, but blue crop is the least nutritious cultivar of blueberry that is actually available. Santa strawberries are allegedly one of the worst tasting, or the most tasteless. And supermarket tomatoes have been bred to be firm, to survive the journey, not necessarily for their nutritional value or for their flavour. Some other varieties. So you see from this image, with the different tomato varieties, what's represented in the supermarket isn't reflected of what's actually available. So you can see tomatoes come in a range of colours and flavours and textures and all vary in nutritional content. Many heirloom varieties of tomatoes don't travel, so some aren't actually commercially viable, some could be. The Rugal blueberry, which is a clone of the original blueberry that was shipped over in 1912 and cultivated, is 3 times higher in antioxidants than the blue crop variety. Snow white strawberries are apparently twice as aromatic, which would affect their flavour. Yeah, so in the supermarket you get about 10 varieties of tomatoes on average, possibly less depending where you go, whereas Waitrose and stuff probably have more. But there's hundreds of tomato varieties that do actually grow in the UK that could be a viable crop here. The antioxidant in blueberries as well is called anthocyanins, which sort of gives them their blue pigment. I'll refer to that later on, so I won't tell you now. And lycopene is a carotene found in tomatoes, which is often associated with an orange or red colour, but yellow tomatoes actually have more. So the diversity of crops continues with different varieties and different species. You can see different coloured sweet corn, multicoloured potatoes, multicoloured carrots, blue potatoes. Pigment is also often quite a good indicator to how nutritious or what nutrients are contained in a crop. For example, the blue pigment in blue potatoes is the anthocyanin, which is the same pigment responsible for the blue in the blueberries. The carrots, the different coloured carrots, are reflective upon their nutrient content. Anthocyanins are most present in the purple carrots, lycopene is the most present in the red carrots, and carotene is most present in the orange carrots. The solution doesn't mean from now on we should only eat blue potatoes, but it just sort of demonstrates how variety might be better to get sort of a range of nutrition. Blue potatoes as well are susceptible to disease, so it might be why they're not perhaps a commercially viable crop. Sorry. Oh no. How do I go back?
Left hand back.
There we go. Sorry about that. So the variety in species isn't just exclusive to the species of existing commercial crops. There are also other species available that sort of are perhaps lesser known. So multicoloured beetroots. These are cucamelons. I grew these a few years ago and I've never ever gone back. What the most wonderful crop in the world. Eden Project sell them sometimes at the cafe. I'd recommend anyone to try those. And this is a type of amaranth, which is a sort of used like spinach. It's multicoloured. But yeah, so the diversity of crops is not reflected and not accessible for everyone when you compare it to what can actually be grown there. Commercial growers can respond to consumer demand. So we've got goji berries at the top, famed for being a superfood. Unfortunately, I do believe some of the marketing used to sell goji berries is quite accurate. There was sort of a marketing strategy about a man who lived to 250 from China who ate goji berries. That's probably not true, but they are quite good for you. Yeah, we can see how, so goji berries were quite rare for quite a while, but then since they've sort of gained popularity and more people are interested, you can now sort of get these everywhere. These are cocktail kiwis on the left over here. Well, I know them as cocktail kiwis, they're in James Wong's book. And I saw them in Tesco's marketed as kiwi berries. I saw my friend had the one in Snapchat in his cereal. I contacted him and I was like, where did you get those berries? And he was like, oh, from Tesco's in Barnstaple. So I went straight to Barnstaple. They were sold out. I went back again a week later, still sold out. So presumably they were quite popular. I'm guessing a sort of a commercial grower got a wind of these, thought they might be interesting, started selling them, trialling them at Tesco's. And then cranberries as well. Until Delia Smith sort of mentioned cranberries, I really knew what they were. Delia Smith started talking about how great they were, and all of a sudden they're everywhere. This isn't always possible though. So with sea buckthorn at the top and mulberries, they don't travel. Sea buckthorn is a commercial crop in Asia, but they do harvest most of the leaf and most of the stem of the crop, which reduces fruiting next year. So perhaps not viable here. Mulberries become a sort of a sticky mess when you harvest them. Bilberries are actually 20% higher in antioxidants than even the Rugal variety of blueberries. And I included wasabi in this because wasabi is sort of famed for not travelling. However, there is a commercial grower now that grows wasabi in Devon, so they've seen a gap in the market and capitalised on that. So Yeah. So crops are also typically most nutritious when they're ripe. Often crops at the supermarket haven't been harvested ripe because they've had to travel a long way in order to get it. So they're harvested sort of less ripe and ripen in transit. Growing locally can minimise time between harvests and shelf, allowing crops to be picked at optimum ripeness. It's the same for crops that are chopped. When produce is cut and packaged, it triggers injury-based responses in the plant that cause it to degenerate faster, which means the nutrition content of the crop goes down at an accelerated rate. Growing locally could minimise the amount of processing that needs to happen, as crops could be harvested whole and sold whole, because they wouldn't be needed space. It wouldn't be an issue for fitting them in sort of vans to take them places. You could also completely reduce the amount of time it takes, the amount of time between harvest and shelf. So what is the solution? The solution is grow your own. So if you have a garden, turn your garden into allotment, grow red tomatoes, grow pink tomatoes, grow purple carrots, grow whatever varieties you like, do some research, grow the most nutritious crops you possibly can, trade with your friends. Perfect. Monty Don said these words at Chelsea last year. He said, everyone can garden and everyone should garden. But I'm inclined to disagree because I have a garden, and what if I don't have a garden? Oops. Oops. So, a possible alternative if you don't have a garden or access to allotment is guerrilla gardening. This guy Ron Villey on the left started a gardening project in LA, sort of inspired by how his community was eating bad food. There was a lack of accessible, healthy food. So he just sort of started taking over vacant lots of disused council space. And he initially had a lot of opposition from the council, but through petition and through sort of being active, gained permission. And it's become really successful. He's got sort of young people growing food, eating better food. Another option is sort of community growing. So something I'm quite interested in is Red Hook Community Farm, which is a cooperative movement in Brooklyn, in America. They provide education, employment to sort of young people, as well as having a farmer's market where they sell the produce that they grow. They all grow organically, so they're sort of providing a source of nutritious food to local people that might otherwise find it difficult to find, to get hold of food. An example locally is also Newquay Community Orchard, which is a sort of a similar concept whereby people can come and get involved, learn to grow food, but then also have access to the food that's grown there. So what's the point? So localised growing could give us more nutritious crops that are available and accessible. The Faculty of Crop Health said that food should be made accessible, affordable and sourced locally whenever possible. Local growing could do this. We could have a better nutrition, more nutritious varieties, and sort of more exciting, interesting, tasty varieties that might actually get young people and people less inclined to eat fruit and veg to try to eat better food. And there are some questions. And that is all, thank you. Thank you for listening. I'll take questions. If anyone's Yes?
You make a valid point about colour and diversity in food.
Yeah.
One of the issues is education, public education.
Yeah, I agree. People aren't aware that sort of these things exist, or like people think that sort of people think that supermarket tomato that is the only tomato there is. But yeah, I think that education, and then people could, and if people were educated, consumers would be more inclined to sort of demand other things, and perhaps pressure supermarkets and commercial growers. I hope I answered the question. It's not what you asked. Yes, James.
So, just to go on from that, so how can we improve the situation in your...
In my view?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to see a situation where all crops are sort of grown with the priority of them being nutritious. So, I mean, local growing is just one sort of avenue. So if we sort of do lots of local growing, we can provide one source of sort of different varieties, more nutritious, with better flavour, But also commercial growers can respond too. Commercial growers could also grow more nutritious varieties or more interesting varieties. I mean, for me personally, I feel that a diverse range of flavour and nutrition will get more people interested and get more people sort of keen to eat that food.
So another answer to that question would be
Sure.
that you would love to go out there and tell people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find a
Yeah,
way to-
yeah, definitely. Yes.
Just a point on that last point you raised. The only time I've ever seen it was in Cuba. But going to a local market, they had a big board which had the nutritional value of all the things that were on sale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
That's really interesting.
They've
Yeah.
got amazing choices to make there because of the necessity economically. So they've got really parallel local food system over there.
That's a really interesting idea. So we could have it be in a situation where it's sort of even produce, it has a nutritional content available to consumers.
You already have that food labelling.
Yeah, you have that on food labelling, but not. So when you go to the supermarket and you buy a tomato, you don't know what variety that tomato is. It doesn't tell you what variety that tomato is. It doesn't tell you the comparison between that variety to other varieties. Is that all?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh.
Never mind.
No, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I don't know if you've come across anything that if food is more nutritional, often more nutritional because the plant has a lower yield, does
Yeah.
that translate into people eating less? So even if one tomato is less nutritional,
Yeah.
are people actually consuming fewer nutrients if they're eating more? If otherwise you've got to pad out your diet with more rice or bread or...
Well, potentially. I mean, like, in a nutrition sense, so I mean, if you have a really nutritious tomato compared to the least nutritious tomato, for example, in theory, you need to eat less tomatoes to get the same amount of nutrition from, say, you see what I mean? So say for if you eat 3 sort of unnutritious tomatoes, you might get the same nutrition out of 1 nutritious tomato. I mean, there is sort of the argument that if people aren't full, they might sort of substitute their hunger with, like, bread or something instead. But I'd like to see a situation where there's abundance of food all over the place. If we can sort of grow locally, if there's like food is cheap and available, hopefully there won't be any scarcity.
Yeah.
So, yes. I'm really nervous there, everyone. So thank you.